Hello, how's it going, everybody? Hey, we got a subscription already over on YouTube. Thanks for subscribing. Who was that? NP Vuvuzela. Well, thanks for subbing. How's it going, everybody? Micah here. We're going to be doing some editing today. Let me just make sure the levels are all right here. I feel like the audio is a little bit high. Yeah. If you're out there in the chat, can you just let me know how everything is working out? If the music is right, if you can hear me okay, and then we're gonna get right into this here. All right, so as you can see behind me, I set up a little green screen to take things to the next level. We're gonna be editing the next video that's coming out. It'll come out next Wednesday, provided everything goes according to plan. And I haven't done anything yet, so we're really starting from scratch. You're gonna see things from the very beginning, essentially what it's like to edit a neurotransmissions video from the start. So let's get into it. The green screen is gonna come in handy here. Oh, we got another subscription. Well, thank you. Who was that? Marina. Thanks, Marina. Appreciate it. We're gonna hop into the view here, if I can get it all set up. There we go. All right. Hey, look at that. The beauty of a green screen. So over here I got essentially Premiere all set up and ready to go. Up here in the corner, I've got my keyboard so you can see sort of what I'm typing as we're going, or the shortcuts that I'm using. And of course I'm like here in the corner, so I'm sort of out of the way, which is pretty nice. So yeah, so the video that we're going to be editing is all about the neuroscience of the keto diet and how it's used medically for certain purposes, specifically for treating epilepsy, which some people, it's not like a totally unknown thing, but probably isn't talked about that often. For the most part, it's mostly seen as sort of a fad diet. But today we're going to be editing together all of the footage, getting a really rough cut. That's really kind of my plan for tonight, is just to get the rough cut. So you're going to see everything from the very beginning, and hopefully that gives you a good idea of what this process looks like. So with that said, let's hop right into it. And as we're doing this, feel free to, chat me up, ask me any questions. Of course, anything about neurotransmissions, about the channel itself. It's all fair game, and we'll just get straight into it. So first things first, I got to create a new sequence. Our footage is in 4K, but I like to edit in 1080. If I had a camera that did a little bit higher resolution, then I would probably go up to like 2K or even edit in 4K if I had like 6K video. The nice part of doing this is if I edit in 1080 and my footage is in 4K, then I can move the footage in and out, essentially zoom in the footage without losing any of the quality. So we're going to do that. Let's name this here. Your Brain on Keto. That's definitely not going to be the name of it, because we just had a video come out last week, 2 weeks ago, called Your Brain on Shrooms, which has been doing very well, which I'm pretty happy about. But we don't want to just repeat stuff. So I'm selecting all my footage here. This is all just the raw video footage that I've already imported. It's about 50 gigs worth of video. Most of it we're going to throw away because it's useless, and like mistakes or that sort of thing. We're going to keep the existing settings. And you can see that this is all of it. It's about an hour and 11 minutes. So a decent amount of footage to get through. We're going to try and skip through this stuff pretty quickly to, use some shortcuts to so we can just get the stuff that we want. So that is that. Now, what I need to do first, as part of this whole process, I guess I can zoom out the footage a little bit. Oh, I put in 500 instead of 50. So I'll take that, take the scale, put it out to 50, which is, 1080 is 50% of the size of 4K. So that's what we'll do, and we get a nice, clean image here now. And now that I have my footage sort of nominally in a place where I can start messing with it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bringing in the audio. You see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 audio tracks. I'm going to try and roughly line them up. That audio track looks like a throwaway, so we're not even going to use that. So we've really got 5 audio tracks here. There's that one. We'll move the video over, bring in this one, these over, bring in this guy, that guy right there. And I don't even know what that little video is there. I'll have to take a look at that. Maybe I just started the camera and then stopped it again. And there we go. So now we have more or less the audio with the video tracks that it goes with. Of course, it's not synchronized yet at this point. So that's what we're going to do now, is essentially line up this audio. So what I like to do, Premiere has this really great function where it will auto sync your video and audio, provided they actually do line up. So I'm just going to take this first video clip and the audio clip below, right click on it, click synchronize, hit OK. And then it'll examine or study the audio, try and find what matches, and then it moved the video clip, right? So you can see it was all the way at the beginning, and now it's moved over about 2 seconds. So what we're gonna do is take the other video clips here, move those over, cut off the ends, and then we're gonna clip these. Now, you might be wondering why I even have to do this in the first place, because you know, these 4 video clips here, right here, these are all one continuous shot, one take. Unfortunately, my camera only takes 5-minute clips. So it'll record for 5 minutes, and then it will end the clip and start a new clip. And I think part of the reason that it does that is so that your files don't get too enormous, because that can be really problematic for like processing it for the camera, but also then for your computer later on. So the idea is to like cut it up essentially for your convenience. I find it a little bit annoying, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. So what I'm going to do is just select the camera audio, which we definitely do not want. Delete that. And then we're going to select these, the video and the audio, and link them to each other so that when I move one, so if I don't do this, right, then these are selected individually. I can move this one over, I can move that one over. I don't really want that. I want those to stay paired to one another so that when I click on one, both of them get selected and they move together. I'm gonna close this window because there's a neighbor dog that is barking outside. So let's just make sure that this audio actually lines up.
Who's on the keto diet. It seems like yet another...
Looks like it. Okay, great. So that is all lined up. We're just gonna do this for the remainder of these clips here. Synchronize. And then we'll get to the actual editing, don't you worry. Okay. Oops. Okay, so that's lined up now. Cut off that end, line this up, cut off that end, cut here, remove the camera audio, link these together. You know, if there was an automated process for this, I would love that. If there was a program that, you know, did this for me, that would be magical. It doesn't take that long, but you know, it's like 5 minutes. I don't know. That's time that is tedious and boring. And if I could just pass off that responsibility, then I probably would. Okay. Link all those and we'll move them a little bit closer. Do it with these guys. I'm not really reviewing them yet. Hopefully they're synchronized. It's pretty good. It rarely gets the synchronization wrong. And if it's having a hard time, then it'll tell you, which is kind of nice. Like if it doesn't guess, really. Actually, where I have the most problems with the synchronization is since my camera splits up these clips, sometimes the clips will start to, like there will be like just a split second of missed footage, and that will make the video a little bit ahead of the audio, which is pretty annoying, but it's not that hard to fix that. Okay, did I already cut off the edges here? Looks like it. Okay, great. Remove that audio. Okay. Oops. Link these. But yeah, feel free to put any questions you got in the chat. I'll just be doing this and I can sort of multitask as I'm doing this process. So don't be shy. What is this clip? Oh, I see. It's the color correction. We'll keep that because we'll need that. And synchronize. And then we'll really get into editing here, I swear. I guess this is part of the editing process, but you know what I mean. The interesting stuff, the stuff that you're actually here to see. Okay, that's the last of the clips. Let's just pair those up. Oops, what am I doing? Pair these up. And we're good to go. Now, next thing. This might seem a little bit backwards, but I like to do a little bit of color correction right off the bat and put on an effect or a lumetri color. The reason that I like to do this is because it makes my life easier on the back end. Normally you wouldn't do your color correction until the very end after everything's put together so you can get like a cohesive style. What I like to do is, we generally have a pretty simple color correction process. And if I do the color correction now, then I don't have to try and find all of the individual clips or worry that I missed one or that sort of thing. So we're just going to do it all right now in one go. In order to do that, we need these kinds of shots. There we go. So we'll just take that screenshot right there. And what we're going to do is bring in MBR Color Corrector 3. And actually, I'm going to cut this there just so there's less processing that needs to happen. And I'm going to select it up here. Oops, did it not? Let's zoom out. Why is it being weird for me here? Oh, I see. There we go. All right, so now, as you can see, it's sort of nice. It pulls up this very thin little box and these colors on the edge correlate to the colors on this color corrector. So you can just take the corners, move it to the correct spot, right? And we'll zoom in to make sure that we're really getting an accurate read. But it's nice to do just a rough go of it first. You know what? I'm actually gonna zoom in this footage to 100. There we go. And we're gonna line up with the corners. Doesn't need to be perfect, but because it grabs from the whole area, or I think from the center maybe. We're gonna do that. Ugh. There we go. Okay, now that we have this box around there, you can just go over here and click read from frame. Boom. And now you've got a perfectly color corrected shot. Look at that. Doesn't that look much more natural? I think so. Now, it looks natural, but it doesn't necessarily look good yet. So what we're gonna do is come down here. Let's see what it looks like without preserving the lightness. Whew, that's pretty bright. Don't think I want it that bright. Whew, yeah, it blows out the background, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Allie ends up looking very, bright, which is great. But I think I'll boost the exposure in Lumetri instead. So I'm going to preserve the lightness. We're just going to click Export LUT. And LUT stands for Lookup Table. And we're just gonna call this kitchen. LUT. If I can spell. Okay, great. So now that I've done that, I can actually just delete this. And now we've got our footage, the rest of the footage. And I'm gonna put Lumetri color on this footage. We're gonna twirl down the basic correction. Let's see here. And we're gonna, right here it says input LUT. I'm gonna click on, oops. Click on kitchen LUT. Press OK. All right, now it has brought the LUT into the footage, which is great. And the reason that I didn't uncheck that preserve lightness is because now I have way more control over the lightness here. And I can change it to whatever I want. So I'm gonna start with, I don't really know. Don't want it to go too bright. Let's try 1.5 for now. Before I get too crazy with this, let's turn up some vibrance here. Vibrance will boost the saturation of certain colors, but not skin tones. So it's nice because then the skin of the person in the shot doesn't look totally gross and orange. I'm also going to pick a look. There's sort of a few that I like to use because they prevent your shot from getting blown out. They make the skin tones look nice. Everything looks a little bit flatter, but in a nice way. So what I'm gonna go for, let's just try a few of these. We're gonna go look, let's take a look first at the Kodak A HDR. See what I mean? That kind of looks nice. When you do HDR, suddenly, you know, your lighting looks a little bit more even. Let's try CHDR. Nah, that is way too much. Let's try the Fuji. That one's okay. I always like the Kodak A HDR. It just looks nice. It gives a little bit of a, it gives like a, yeah, we're gonna go with that. It gives sort of a warm feel to it, which I like. So we're gonna keep that. Not gonna mess with the saturation right now. Maybe the contrast I'll boost up just a tiny bit. Don't need much on the highlights, I don't think. Shadows we can mess with, and the blacks as well. Get that contrast really pumping. But also, since we boosted the exposure, I want to make sure that the blacks don't get too bright, because then you can see grain in them. So we're gonna just move those down a tiny bit. All right, done with that. I think this is looking decent. I always, you know, I'm the kind of person where I tend towards a more orange look, so maybe I'll add just like 5 to the temperature, which will push it into that orange range. Maybe 10. And I like what it does to skin tones too. That seems a little bit too much. We're in a nice bright space. Okay, well, the lighting looks pretty nice, right? So in this shot, you can't see it, of course, because we did our job. There's a light just off frame right over here that's standing on the counter. That's the same color as this. There's a light right off here, also on the counter, that matches the daylight, right? So you get a little bit of that daylight reflecting off here, a little bit of that sort of yellowish reflecting off here. I think it looks pretty good. Worked out. And then we also have another light that's essentially right here but off screen, so it's in front of Ali. Okay, enough talk about that. So we've finished more or less a very rough color correction. This may end up being the color correction by the end of it. But what we're gonna do is copy that, paste it to the rest of the shots that are taken. Ooh, look at that. Shot has quite significantly changed. So these are the shots in the same space. Also the same space, right? So look at how much the light changed there. Gosh. Okay, we're running into issues. Hey, sorry, I just checked over on the chat, over on Twitch. Zandian, hey, how's it going? Appreciate these streams. Thanks so much. I'm glad that you're here to take a look at it. Looking forward to this video, especially since I started the keto a couple months back and have lost 20 pounds on it. Holy smokes, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, it is a very effective diet, and I can see why it would be so effective for that purpose. We're going to be talking about it from a little bit of a different angle, but I hope you appreciate it. And Donnie the Nuts. Hi, Micah. You steal the idea to edit video on stream from KB, or did he steal it from you? I don't know, man. I don't know that we stole it from either person, but always happy to share the limelight. Just happy to show off my different way of doing it, but always fun to watch people edit. I love the editing process. I find it the most enjoyable part of, you know, making videos. Just because everything comes together, right, you know, during this time. So, all right, let me refill my water and then we'll get back into things. So we've got to fix this lighting, because that's an issue. There we go. So, all right, let's go to an area where, so this is what the lighting is going to look like for most of the shot, it appears. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the exposure back down, and we'll more or less be able to get back to what that shot looked like. Man, it looks so nice right there. And then here, the lighting just messes it all up. Oh, what do we get? What do we get? Oh, we got another subscriber, Mike. Oh, another Micah. Look at that. Micah Auerbach, thanks for subscribing. And Ove Valodius. These are folks over on YouTube. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate it. So here's the problem. We're blowing out this window. Not the biggest deal. I don't like the halo, though, that comes off of her face. It's a little bit distracting. So how low can we get without ruining the look? What if I do that and then I boost the highlights? And lower the white. Let's boost the highlights a little bit more. How does that look? That looks okay, I think. I don't know, what do you think, chat? I think I need to mess with blacks a little bit more. They're getting a little bit fuzzy. There we go. There we go. So lower the shadows and blacks a little bit more, and that gives it more contrast and keeps that glow under control. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay. So now let's copy this instead and come over to these other ones where it's way blown out and put this in instead. Okay. All right. Now we've done this for the wide shot. Let's see if it works for the close-up shot too. How does that match? That matches pretty well. Okay, great. So we're just gonna put that over on both of them. It's funny, her dress, look at that, just pops. Because everything else in the background is like kind of blue. I guess we have some red here, but it really just like, you know, pops out at you. All right. So we've done the color correction on these guys. We're gonna sort of leave them for now and go on to the next clip, which is, oh, also the same location. So we'll add them here as well. Next clip. Okay. New shot. And we've got the same thing as before. We got our color checker. So that's what we're gonna do again. We'll oops, just cut that there. So that we're just using a very small portion of this video. And we'll click on it and put it more or less where it should go. Oh, you know what? I realized I never shared that I was streaming out on Twitter. Give me 1 second here. Out on the social medias. Gotta let the people know, right? Okay. Cool. That is out there now. Okay. So now that we've got it roughly in that area, what I'm going to do is click on this and skip. Oop, not 10%. It's like I have dyslexia or something. 100%. And we'll even zoom in a little bit more. Get a nice, look at that. That's so nice and close. It'll be so easy to place this now. So put it right on these white corners, like so. Oh, that's way off. I guess I could zoom in even more if I wanted to, but we don't need to be perfectly exact. Okay, that's good enough. Read from frame. Boom. And now we've got perfectly color corrected video. Okay, it's off frame, so we'll move that back center. Looking good. We're not even going to use this, so we can just delete it. But we're going to come down here. Let's see what it looks like without preserved lightness on there. Wow, we got the lighting right on. Look at that. Cool. We'll preserve the lighting, I guess. There's not that much of a difference. We'll preserve it. Why not? Export LUT. We'll call this dining room LUT. Good. Hey, KB, how's it going? You're never able to get the MBR color corrector to work? I can show you. I can show you how it works. It's real simple. Here, I'll just for if everyone will entertain me for a moment. We're gonna do a very quick tutorial because this will save you time. So what you do? All right, I just picked another clip here. It's essentially the same thing. Got it. Pull over the MBR, right? You drop it in. It's not going to do anything right away. What you can do is click on MBR color corrector. Now, if you really wanted to be tedious with this, what you can do is you can just click on the individual colors under source and then press this button here. Or not that button. You want to pick the color picker and then you can click on the color on the card. But I would say don't do that because it's gonna take you forever. That's what I used to do until I realized how this thing actually worked. So, or let's reset that. So what you do when you're on your shot and you have the plugin on the clip and you're on the clip itself, you click on MBR color corrector and this box will show up here on screen. And if you take the corners, you can line them up with the MBR or with the passport that you've got, right? Like so. And then, make sure that it's like pretty well lined up. And it should give you a nice color correction. So if you line it up, boom, 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 just with these white corners, once you're done with that, then again, under source over here, you click on read from frame. And if you click read from frame, it just did it for you. It essentially put in all of the values of the passport, and now you've got your color corrected shot. So super duper simple way to get the same color correction every single time. If you have multiple cameras and you want to you want them to have the same color correction, this is a great way to do it. Or if you're filming at different times of day or whatever, right? This is the way to make that happen. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, we don't need either of these. We're gonna delete both of those. Come back, holy moly, yeah, I know. If it really is that simple, I'm gonna be so mad at myself. Just load it up and there's a box. You know, I'm glad that I could help KB, and I hope that this makes it faster for you. You know, that color correcting is just a breeze now. So, all right, now that we've got that LUT saved, we're gonna do the same thing as before. Click on one of the clips, come over to effects, bring in Lumetri, color. Boom, boom, boom. Twirl it down. This time we're gonna select dining room LUT. Look at that, there it goes. Very nice lighting, it looks like a documentary. Like she's giving an interview. And we're gonna do kind of a similar thing as before. I don't think we need to mess with the exposure too much because it was pretty well lit to begin with. So we'll keep that there. Gonna come back. I'm gonna start with the look actually, because that can kind of change the scenery. And once again, I'm gonna go and pick, where is it? Clean Kodak A HDR. That's my favorite. I don't know if you could tell the difference that made. See how it just sort of flattens things a little bit and adds some warmth? I really like that. And it gives a little bit more pop to your colors too. A little bit more saturation. So we're gonna boost that even a little bit more, because why not? We like to have fun here. That looks good. I don't have to do any messing. I'll add a little bit of contrast just for sharpness, but I don't have to mess with the black range because we didn't end up boosting any of the exposure or anything like that. And I would say generally this looks fine. It's good for a first round of color correction. So we're gonna copy that, paste it to the other clips. Good to go. On to the next thing. So, on to the next clip. We've got an outdoor clip. And once again, this is why the color corrector can come in so handy, because you can see the lighting here it's natural lighting as opposed to using lights. But it's also very different from the scene that we just saw. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come in and we'll use that right there. Once again, pull up the MBR color corrector. And then after this, we're gonna get into the actual editing process. So, uh-oh. My green screen is not holding up very well. A little bit of the side is coming apart. Here, let me move myself over slightly. Like that. There. Don't want to, you know, mess with the illusion. That whole green screen's going to come down probably, but that's all right. All right, we're going to click on MBR color corrector and once again, line up the box. I swear this thing is coming down. Well, if you see it suddenly, if you see my background suddenly appear, you'll know what's happened. We'll zoom straight in. We're gonna line this up. Now, one thing, KB, just to make your life easier, is make sure the passport is in the right direction. If it's upside down, it's going to be a little bit of a problem. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You can just like switch these to the other side, I guess, right? So it's not that big of a deal, but it's just a little bit annoying. Okay, we've got that all lined up. We're gonna click read from frame, and boom, look at that. Now it is a bit darker, as you can see. So let's see what happens if we, woo! All right, so if we turn off preserve lightness, it blows it way out. It's blowing it out because this looks great. You know, the passport looks awesome, but everything else is getting way overexposed. So we are not going to preserve the lightness. We're just going to export that LUT, and we'll call this outside LUT. Great. And now what we're going to do is, oh, wow. Oh, duh. I was like, wow, it looks so much more green. It's because this one has the MBR color corrector on it already. Okay. So let's bring in one more time in case you guys aren't bored of this yet. We're gonna bring in Lumetri, color. We're going to put in the outside LUT. There it is. Now we get to mess with the brightness. It looks like the brightness is pretty consistent throughout. So I'm gonna bump up the exposure slightly, maybe to there. Add our in contrast. I want to mess with the shadows and black values. Oops. Oh my god. Just clicking buttons all over the place. I think let's try boosting these different values too. It's getting a little bit, it's getting very contrasty. So let's bring in our look once again. The Kodak A HDR. Oh man, look at how beautiful that is. Once you add that on there, it just makes everything look pretty. So without, it's fine. With, oh man, it just brings out those colors. Really looks nice. Okay, and then we'll add a little bit of vibrance as well to add some saturation to non-skin tone colors. And just for the heck of it, with that done, I want to compare this to the other two shots that we have. So that's lining up pretty well. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. This one's a little bit more green, but that's partly to do with the background, and I'm okay with that, I think. How about this one? This one's more yellow. Oh, I think I actually put, yeah, I did. I set the temperature to +5 on that. Let's do that here to be consistent. Okay, just bring in a little bit of warmth, and we'll copy that and remove just Lumetri from this, and then we'll paste it in again. Okay, and we'll do the same here. We'll add a little bit of warmth. It's not much, it's just a touch, but it's enough that it pleases me. So look at that. We went from this to that. Not bad. I mean, we shoot purposefully in a pretty flat profile so that you can really get those that nice contrast, that boosted color. All right, so that's all done. Normally I might do, this thing is falling. Normally I might do a little bit of audio work. I don't do most of my audio stuff until near the end, because then you're only editing the complete, the finished clips that you're actually using. And I don't think I'm gonna edit them, but all I'm gonna do is just boost the audio just a a tiny bit so that it's easier for you guys to hear. And then later on, we'll do more audio work. So we're just normalizing these to 0 so that, so that when we're going through this, you can actually hear it, because that can be a problem. How are you liking this so far, by the way? Feel free to leave any comments, questions about this, the channel, about the editing process. I am willing to answer away. Okay, so now we get to the fun part, which is going through the footage itself and cutting away all of the junk. So as you can imagine, during the recording process, not all of the footage is useful. So there's going to be a lot of outtakes. In fact, this first shot, we had a lot of issues having the camera so far away because we use a teleprompter, and in an echoey room like this, the app that we use for the teleprompter listens to your voice and then it scrolls according to like when it hears what you're saying. But when the camera is far away enough and when you're in an echoey room, it just doesn't work. Also, we've noticed that like this app that we use is like, I don't know, let's just say it does not recognize the female voice. No idea why. Allie will say a line, you know, and start reading off of the script, and it will not move. And I'll essentially take her spot in the same position at the same volume, and it'll move just fine. So anyway, big problem. Sexism at work in our technology. Clearly, it was normalized on the male voice. Okay, let's get into this. Here we go. All right. So we were just practicing. We weren't really going to be using this stuff. We were just trying to make sure that the teleprompter was working. It wasn't.
If you're into fitness, or if you know anyone who is.
You're into fitness. I'm into fitness. Fitting this whole pizza into my mouth. All right, we're gonna cut out this whole thing. Okay, here she actually, so we decided that we were gonna start with bringing in grocery bags. Fun, just a fun way of starting off a video. And then she was gonna say the lines. So let's see if this takes any good.
If you're into fitness, or if you know anyone who is, you've probably met someone who's on the keto diet. It seems like yet another trendy low-carb diet, right? Like the Atkins diet or the paleo diet.
Okay. Oh. My green screen's coming down. Hang on. Give me one second.
If you're into fitness, or...
Let me, give me 1 second, folks. I'm gonna fix this real quick here. This is what happens when you don't have a formal green screen. I guess I do have an actual green screen, but this the color on this one is so much better. It like is so lime green. It just works perfectly. You can key this color out so easily. Also, gaffer tape, amazing. If you need a tape that is strong, that sticks to everything, but you can also remove easily, and that doesn't leave a mark on stuff. Gaffer tape is where it's at. We don't need this to be perfect. We just need it to stick. High quality content here. Really the good stuff. This is what you came to see. Okay. That should do it. All right. Fitting this whole pizza in my mouth. All right, we're good to go. Let's get back into the editing, hey? There we go. All right. So we had this initial take. We'll see if I've even forgotten already. I got distracted by the green screen. Let's see if it's any good.
If you're into fitness, or if you know anyone who is, you've probably met someone who's on the keto diet.
It's okay. Let's see. Here's another one. All right, she walks in. Let's just make a cut here so that we don't forget about it.
If you're into fitness, or if you know anyone who is, you've probably met someone who's on the keto diet. It seems like
Okay, I think I like that take. That's pretty good. It's, yeah.
keto diet.
We're only going to take a small section of this because we don't need... Well, frankly, the take doesn't go for very long because the teleprompter very quickly does not follow. But we have a closer shot that's a little bit better. Let's just see if this works. Let's see. Oh,
If you're into fitness, or if you know anyone who is, you've probably met someone who's on the keto diet. Is it playing? It seems like yet another trendy low-carb diet. Just like the Atkins diet or paleo diet, right? All of these food regimens use the same basic...
This thing was just like messing up on us.
Yet another trendy low-carb diet, just like the Atkins diet.
Nah, yeah. All right, that is the take that we're gonna take. Now we've got the close-up shot, which is nice, so we really only have an establishing shot, essentially. This establishing shot. So if you know anybody who's into fitness, you've probably heard of the keto diet.
If you're into fitness, or if you know anyone who is, you've probably met someone who's on the keto diet. It's...
All right, so now we're trying to find the next take. So we're gonna take a look at the audio here. You can see some pauses, right? That may be just breaks between lines, but it could also be retakes. So we're going to sort of quickly scrub through and find every take of this and figure out which one's the best one.
If you're into fitness...
Yep.
If you're into fitness...
Right? So there's one... Blah, blah, blah. So there's that. We're going to delete this. Okay, great. How about this one?
All of these food regimens... But what if I told you?
Ooh, we got another subscriber. Jonathan Graves, thanks so much subscribing on YouTube. Appreciate it. All right. Let's see here.
That the keto diet... In fact, it's sometimes...
Okay, what happened here?
Epilepsy.
Okay. All right, let me...
Better.
Yeah, it is better. Okay, so we're starting to get the flow. The thing was starting to work.
If you're in a fit... It seems like yet...
Okay.
It's...
So that's a take right there. Oops, did I just delete that other one? Let's do this.
Epilepsy. People lose weight. In fact, it's sometimes used today...
Okay, we're not going to use that take because clearly that was not wonderful.
Get buff. It's actually a valuable medical tool that can be used to help treat epilepsy.
Okay. We probably redid it.
If you're into fitness...
Yeah, we did. Like, yeah, let's do it.
Or... You've probably...
So we'll take that. And where does this one go to?
It's back up. Where did these low carb diets come from? And how the heck do they have an effect on epilepsy?
Okay, she kind of blinked there, which I don't. But we'll get to that later.
But let's back up. Where did these low carb...
Okay, she does this a few times.
But let's back up. Where did these low carb diets come
Okay, we'll stop there. Boom. We're gonna delete this. So that this looks like a whole take here.
Fasting could help with mild epilepsy. Do it again?
Yeah, let's do it.
But let's back up.
No, that's not it. That's not gonna be a take.
But let's back up. But let's back up. But let's back up.
But let's really back up.
Come from and how.
Okay, maybe that's a take. Was that a take?
But let's back up. Where did these low carb diets come from and how the heck do they have an effect on epilepsy? So, it turns out that using dietary adjustments to treat health conditions has been going on for a long time. It would be so much faster and easier if you would scroll when I'm speaking.
Alright, that is not a take. Let's see.
So, it turns out. And how the heck do they have an effect on epilepsy?
Okay, so she's starting after, so let's back up. So that's a take there, it would appear.
But let's back up. Where did these low carb diets come from and how the heck do they have
Was this one?
Where did these low carb diets come from and how do they affect epilepsy? So, it turns out that using dietary. But let's back up.
Nah, don't like that.
But let's back up. Where did these low carb diets come from and how the heck do they have an effect on epilepsy?
Does she say it here?
Fasting could help with mild epilepsy.
Look at that face. Not having it. I mean, the projector was giving us a lot of problems.
Come from and how the heck do they have an effect on epilepsy? So, it turns out that using dietary adjustments to treat health conditions
Whoa. What the heck? I want to apologize real quick. I swear to you guys, I have been switching over to look at the YouTube chat to see if anybody's over there, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, nobody is there. Nobody's chatting, and that's okay. But then I refreshed just to, you know, because I don't know, it's something came over me and I decided to refresh, and suddenly there's a ton of comments. So I'm not gonna go through and catch up on everything. Thank you everybody who's been chatting up. I'll be keeping an eye on it now that I realize that there's actually people talking over there. But everybody's saying hello. I really appreciate it. We got Alex Lee, Slaps Only, George Eisern Sanchez, The Casual Gamer, Safwan Rakik, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Edward Delaire, oh, you got people from India, damn, Ryan Thompson, oh man, thanks so much guys for so many nice comments. We got Miles here, Ever Curious Michelle, Amanda DeCat, man. All right, thank you guys for chatting. Please feel free to leave more chats for me, and I'll try my best to keep an eye on them. No idea what was happening there, but I guess YouTube's just faking me out for whatever reason. Whatever. It's being kind of weird, actually. Here, I'm gonna pop out this chat so that it's like a little bit easier to see everything. There we go. Much better. All right. Waiting for the day you hit 1 million. Yeah, me too. All right, let's get back to this.
Out that using dietary adjustments to treat health conditions has been going on for a long time. While lots of people thought that epilepsy had a supernatural cause, so from and how the heck?
Okay, so I'm gonna grab.
But let's back up. Where did these low carb diets come from, and how the heck do they have an effect on epilepsy?
We'll use that temporarily. I feel like we have another take later on. So we'll come back to it. We'll back up, you might say.
So it turns out that using
Okay, I like this take better.
It turns out that using dietary adjustments to treat health conditions has been going on for a long time. While lots of people thought that epilepsy had a supernatural cause, like demonic possession, there's a document from about 400 BC where a Greek physician argues that it could be treated with dietary changes. Another document from the same era describes a patient whose epilepsy was supposedly cured when he stopped eating or drinking. And at least a couple of physicians around that time, including
Can you guys hear this okay, by the way?
Levin Galen, argued that fasting could help with mild epilepsy.
Okay, that's not a bad take.
But the first known true study of this idea didn't happen until 1911 But the first known true study of this idea didn't happen until 1911 in France, when 20 epilepsy patients combined periods of fasting, not eating, and purging, throwing up, with a low-calorie vegetarian diet. Sounds kind of miserable. The majority of the participants couldn't maintain the diet, go figure, but the two who did showed very dramatic improvements. And the diet didn't have a negative effect on cognitive capabilities, unlike the leading medications at the time. Meanwhile, on the other side of the pond, a fasting trend was hitting the US. There's actually this kind of hilarious and weird bit from this time where a guy named Bernard McFadden, who apparently hated doctors, started producing his own magazine called Physical Culture, where he argued that medicine is a sham and all you need is a good diet and exercise to live to be over 100 years old.
Turn up the volume
To
here
prove
a
his
little
point,
bit.
he filled the magazine with pictures of himself, posing with muscles bulged. Hot. But out of this weirdness... Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, that was pretty good.
With muscles bulged. Hot.
Okay, great.
But out of this weirdness... Sorry.
It's okay.
Wow, we just kept going, huh? That was a very long
But
take.
out of this weirdness, McFadden's assistant, a guy named Hugh William Conklin,
Oh, that's right.
started using fasting to treat illnesses and began promoting the idea that epilepsy was caused by toxins secreted in the intestines. He claimed that if you fasted for a while, like 18 to 25 days, you could totally detoxify your body and cure your epilepsy. He supposedly had a 90% cure rate for epilepsy in children, and around a 50% cure rate for adults up to age 40. This was a big deal, especially in the early 1900s, because there wasn't a whole lot in the way of effective anticonvulsant medication. The best options at that time were potassium bromide, which prevented seizures but also has a pretty strong sedative effect, and phenobarbital, a barbiturate, which is actually still used today, but isn't always effective. And if you didn't like either of those options, then your other option was pretty much just to ride it out, which isn't great. It quickly became standard.
At this point, you can see the end of the clip here, even though she keeps talking. The camera's about to die because the battery runs out. So we'll cut that there. Oops. And let's see where she starts up again.
Redo that section before, or do you think you caught the end?
You can cut the end, but let's just start. Where do we start?
And if you didn't like either of those options,
Okay, cool.
then your other option was pretty much just to ride it out, which isn't great. It pretty quickly became great.
delete that.
It pretty quickly became standard practice among neurologists to recommend Conklin's new fasting diet.
Okay, so we can see a break here. So let's just fast forward and see.
You know what? That is a great question.
Don't like that wobble, but seems like we gotta take off. Let's just double check up here.
Treatment worked, and he was like, you know.
Okay, yeah. So that's gonna be our take here.
It pretty quickly became standard practice among neurologists to recommend Conklin's new fasting diet for epilepsy patients, though no one was really sure exactly how it worked, beyond, toxins. Eventually, the scientifically minded parents of one epilepsy patient decided that toxins wasn't a good enough answer, and asked physician Stanley Cobb to explain why the treatment worked. And he was like, you know what? That is a great question. So he and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood of... Okay. That is a great question.
Okay, cut that there. We might end up taking a different take because she does that a few different times.
You know what? That is a great question.
Gosh dang it. No! My green screen is falling again. I should just get like one of those standing ones like all of the fancy streamers have.
So he and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine of a small group of epileptic patients on the fasting diet, including Lennox himself, and found that they all had a buildup of acid in their bloodstream, known as acidosis, and high levels of serum uric acid.
Okay, I think this...
Those
Alright, so she does it again.
worked, and he was like, you know what? That is a great question.
Okay, that's not gonna be a take.
Like, you know what? That is a great question.
Right there. Delete that.
A great question. So he and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine of a small group of epileptic patients on the fasting diet,
Epileptic.
including Lennox himself,
Epileptic
and found that they
patients.
all had a buildup of acid,
Alright, I think we did this again. Let's just double check.
which isn't great. It pretty quickly became standard practice among neurologists to recommend.
Okay, maybe we didn't do that again. Hang on.
He and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine of a small group of epileptic patients on the fasting diet, including Lennox himself, and found that they all had a buildup of acid in their bloodstream, known as acidosis, and high levels of serum uric acid.
So we could use that take. Oh no. Okay. Keep that thought. My green screen is falling down again. So, okay, so we could use that take. I just don't like the way that Allie said epileptic. I know it's a small complaint, but, you gotta have nice pronunciation in your videos. Just in the same way that you need a nice green screen background. Oh my gosh. What I would give for a nice green screen. A horse for a nice green screen. Wait, no, my kingdom for a nice green. That's all right. So we've got some decisions to make. Oh, yeah. I'm having problems. Okay. It's too much. Let's get back to it. So, what I was saying is, we have to figure out... F, yeah, thanks. Yeah, F's in the chat for the green screen. I know Brain is not a computer. I wish that I was making another music video, SFN music video. That'd be pretty fun. We got to do another music video. We haven't done a music video in a really long time, and they always do well, but they're so much work. They are, and I don't know. Is it worth it to like do video, like a music video with just ourselves? Because it's not like we have friends. Can you copy the audio of Epileptic Only? I was thinking about that actually. So let's try this out. Let's just let's go over to
named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine of a small group of epileptic patients.
So here's what we're gonna do. Oops, that's not what I want to do.
Epileptic patients on.
Okay, and we're gonna go back to the other take. If I can find it.
Like, you know what? That is a great question. So he and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine of a small group of epileptic patients.
That wasn't the one. Where is it? Oh, slaps only. Sorry, I missed your question before about how long have I been editing videos. For fun, since like, I guess since like high school, to be honest. You know, they're crappy little music video, you know, like lip sync type of things. Like I can remember filming a stupid little video with my brother where it was like a snow day, and so we didn't have to go to school, and so instead we cut together a video to a song, and it was very bad. Windows Movie Maker. Call back.
G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine of a small group of
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut just that.
epileptic.
Cut there and there. We'll grab just that. And we'll take it over here and paste it. See, look, it's so much shorter though, because she kind of like goes epileptic.
Epileptic patients.
Okay, so let's try just removing that and see how far that gets us.
Epileptic patients. Epileptic patients.
Nah, it doesn't look good. Sorry, man. That was a good idea, but I think what we're gonna do is just take the.
That is a great question.
Take this
So
clip.
he and a guy named. So he and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine and high levels of serum uric acid.
Okay, we're just gonna grab that. I always like to go right up until there's some sort of blink.
Patients.
Someday, speed it up. No, I'm not gonna speed it up. Way easier to just do this rather than mess around with, I don't know, trying to fix it in post. We've already got a decent take for a section, so we're just gonna use that.
All had a buildup of acid in the bloodstream, known as acidosis, and high levels of serum uric acid.
I do like that better though, yo, like.
The patients on the fasting diet, including Lennox himself,
I guess I could,
and found that they all had a buildup on the fasting diet.
does she do that same face or head movement?
Including Lennox himself. Diet.
let's do this. Tell you what. Let's do a little. Okay. Once we start moving in and out, right? Like zooming in and out, I can sort of make this look good.
So he and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine of a small group of epileptic patients on the fasting diet, including Lennox himself, and found that they all
So we're gonna have,
himself.
and then so this section here will be like, you know, zoomed in, let's say, like so, just to kind of give you a feel for what this might.
Fasting diet, including Lennox
She doesn't totally move her head. Let's do this.
diet, including Lennox himself, and found that they all had a
Yeah, I mean it's not great, but it's something.
diet, including Lennox himself,
Okay.
and found that they all had a buildup of acid in the bloodstream, known as acidosis, and high levels of serum uric acid. Those acids were secreted in urine if the subjects ate carbs or certain proteins. But surprisingly, the acid was not secreted if they only consumed 40% cream. Gross.
Okay, I think we have another take of this, so let's just.
Overall, they found that the increased level in seizures.
Okay, that might be a take that we keep.
Great. It pretty quickly became standard practice among neurologists to recommend Conklin's new
Oh dang, so we're going way back. Oh man, we got a whole take again. All right. Sorry guys, so let's see how this.
isn't great. It pretty quickly became
Let's just see what this looks like.
It pretty quickly became standard practice among neurologists to recommend Conklin's new fasting diet for epilepsy patients, though
Looks
no
good.
one was really
Alright, cool.
sure exactly how it worked, beyond, you know, toxins. Eventually, the scientifically minded parents of one epilepsy patient decided that toxins wasn't a good enough answer, and they asked physician Stanley Cobb to explain why the treatment worked. And he was like, you know what? That is a great question. So he and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine of a small group of epilepsy patients, including Lennox himself. Cobb to explain why the treatment worked. That. So he and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays.
Cool. All right, we've got a whole other take, which will probably fix the problem that we had before. We didn't even need to cut this stuff. Hey, wow, look at that. A whole bunch of new YouTube subscribers. We got Mars Mark and Martin Vasquil. You'll have to tell me how to pronounce that. But thank you. Appreciate that.
So he and a guy named W.G. Lennox did assays of the blood and urine of a small group of epileptic patients on the fasting diet, including Lennox himself, and found that they all had a buildup of acid in the bloodstream, known as acidosis.
This is a way better take.
And high levels of serum uric acid. Those acids were secreted in urine if the subjects ate carbs or certain proteins. But surprisingly, the acid was not secreted if they only consumed 40% cream. Gross. Overall, they found that the increased level of acids in the bloodstream typically showed up 2 or 3 days after the fast began and coincided with an improvement in seizures.
Okay, don't want that. Blink. We're gonna take that. We're gonna use that.
Those acids
No.
and found that they all. So he and a guy named W. So
Okay.
overall, they found that the
No.
and found that they all had a buildup of So he
Okay. So we're gonna delete all of that editing that we did. We're gonna delete that because this other take is way better.
So
Way
he
better.
and a guy named
Okay, we don't need to play through that over again.
Okay. Ugh, gross. Overall, they found that the increased levels of acids in the bloodstream typically showed up 2 or 3 days in seizures. Then, a guy named Roland Turner Woodyard, it's Woodyard. Then, a guy named Roland low carb, high fat diet, the liver with and acetone. Collectively, these now
Okay, so it seems like that is the take right here.
then a guy named Roland
Okay, cool.
Then, a guy named Roland Turner Woodyard started looking at research on the relationship between diet and diabetes. What he found was that if a person was fasting, starving, or eating a particularly low-carb, high-fat diet, the liver would start to produce 3 compounds called beta-hydroxybutyrate, acetoacetate, and acetone. Collectively, these are known as ketone bodies.
Brain is not a computer. I just realized that when you said I can be your friend before, that was in response to me saying that I don't have any friends. So thank you. Thanks for being my friend. I appreciate that. Okay, that was an okay take.
Low-carb, high-fat diet, the liver would start to produce 3 compounds, acetoacetate and acetone. Collectively, these are known as ketone. Now, patients didn't have to literally starve themselves. 1921.
Okay. I guess we have a line that we
Collectively,
have here.
these are known as ketone bodies. Ketone bodies. The term ketogenic diet was coined by Russell Morse Wilder, who conducted the first trial of the diet on epilepsy patients in 1921. Now, patients didn't have to literally starve themselves. They could still eat some foods and get the same beneficial effects. Meine Gustav Peterman, a colleague of beneficial effects.
I feel like we have a better take of this.
Now, patients didn't have to literally starve.
But we've got a whole take here, right? Skip, 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 skip. Let's go to here and see what this is all about.
Themselves, they could still eat some foods and get the same beneficial effects. Meine Gustav Peterman, a colleague of Wilder's, is actually the person who came up with the classic diet.
Okay, so we're talking about Meine here, which I think is who we're talking about here.
Now, patients didn't have to literally starve themselves. They could still eat some foods and get the same beneficial effects.
There we go.
Meine Gustav Peterman.
Okay. So let's listen to this. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna listen to this take, and then we're gonna listen to the other take, and then we're gonna decide, maybe I'll even put it up for a vote, which one's better. Here we go.
Peterman, a colleague of Wilder.
Hang on, let's start from the beginning.
Meine Gustav Peterman, a colleague of Wilder's, is actually the person who came up with the classic diet. In kids, this includes a ratio of 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight, fewer than 15 grams of carbohydrates per day, and all other calories coming from fat. So, what does that look like?
Actually, we're gonna go with the second take because we redid that for a very particular reason.
Themselves, they could still eat some foods and get the same beneficial effects.
We'll do that again though with something else. We'll put it up for a vote.
Meine Gustav Peterman, a colleague of Wilder's, is actually the person who came up with the classic diet. In kids, this includes a ratio of 1 gram of
But you should
protein
listen to this
per
'cause it's
kilogram of body
wild.
weight, fewer than 15 grams of carbohydrates per day, and
This is the keto
all
diet,
other calories
the original one.
coming from fat. So, what does that look like? Well, here's a menu suggested for a 5-year-old boy by some physicians. Oh, sorry. So, what does that look like?
No. I thought we had a whole take there.
Calories coming from fat. So, calories coming from fat.
Oh, we're still gonna use this take.
So, what does that look like? Well, here's a menu suggested for a 5-year-old by some physicians. For breakfast, scrambled eggs made with butter, cheese, and heavy cream, with some strawberries, cantaloupe, or pineapple. As a mid-morning snack, another small serving of fruit with heavy cream. For lunch, a burger patty with American cheese, no bun, some broccoli with butter, and heavy cream. For afternoon snack, sugar-free Jell-O and heavy cream. And then for dinner, chicken breast without the skin, with broccoli, American cheese, mayonnaise, and, you guessed it, more heavy cream.
Nice. Man, that is way too much heavy cream. Okay, great. Done with that section. Now we switch to the dining room.
You never get a white balance, do you?
It'll white balance automatically.
Okay. Good?
Yeah. Make sure you're hydrating, everybody out there. All right.
Now, you might be saying, okay, I can't lean on this. Now, you might
Okay.
Now, you might be saying to yourself, how on earth did this... Now... Big Dairy must... Well,
Okay, how many takes do we have of this?
the weight loss of... Now, you might be...
Yeah, it's a lot of cream. That's a lot of whipping cream. I don't know how... I could not imagine trying to convince a 5-year-old to drink that much heavy cream every single day. You know? Like, obviously, the reason that they're giving them so much heavy cream is in order to fill them with protein, right? So maybe like a modern diet now would involve like a protein shake of some sort. Although protein shakes have a lot of carbs in them too, I feel like. But anyway, I don't know. Like the idea of drinking that much heavy cream just sounds miserable. Okay, let's see here. This kind of ends.
Effects can be pretty rough.
We'll keep that take just in case.
Now, you might be saying... living room diner. Now, you might be saying to...
Now,
Well, just...
now.
Now, you might be... I don't care. I do. if you
Oh,
want me to
Braden's
do it
not a
again, then you
computer.
Go back if you...
Thanks so much for joining and for the words of encouragement. We'll keep going. Maybe I'll do another stream. Sort of depends on how things go, but expect the episode to go up next Wednesday.
Now, you might be saying...
Now, let's back up just slightly. Go. We have sort of a take here.
You might be asking... Now...
Okay, clearly these ones are like really short, so I don't think there's much there.
Now,
So we're gonna just delete these ones. How about this?
the trendy low-carb diet. Forever, because as the trendy low.
Okay, so I think we're gonna start. We'll watch the first take, see how it is, and then we'll watch the second take and see which one we like more.
Now, you might be saying to yourself, how on earth did this diet become this popular? Big Dairy must be making a fortune. Well, just to clarify, the classic ketogenic diet and the one that's used for epilepsy patients is not exactly the same as the trendy low-carb diets people might be doing to lose weight.
Okay, that's the first take.
Now, you might be saying to yourself, how on earth did this diet become popular? Big Dairy must be making a fortune. Well, just to clarify, the classic ketogenic diet, the one that's used to treat epilepsy, is not quite the same as the trendy low-carb fad that people use to lose weight. No.
Is there another one?
The trendy low-carb diet.
What? Okay, let's go back because I feel like maybe I deleted a better take here.
Living room, dining room.
Here we go. Let's try this one.
Now, you might be saying to yourself, how on earth did this diet
No, actually, sorry.
is not quite the same as the diet that people use to lose weight. Now, you might be asking yourself,
Maybe that. Okay, let's watch these two takes as well.
Now, you might be saying to yourself, how on earth did this diet become popular? Big Dairy must be making a fortune. Well, just to clarify, the classic ketogenic diet and the one that's used to treat epilepsy is not quite the same as the diet that people use to lose weight.
I think this one's the better one. Okay, let's delete that one.
Now, you might be asking yourself, how on earth did this diet become popular? Big Dairy must be making a fortune. Well, just to clarify, the classic ketogenic diet and the one that's used to treat epilepsy is not quite the same as the one that's used to lose weight.
I think that's going to be good enough for now. The teleprompter was not behaving with us, but we're going to use that because we can cut it out.
Used to lose weight.
Okay. We're going to use that.
A fortune. Epilepsy patients is not exactly the same as the trendy low-carb diets people might be doing to lose weight. The weight loss approach does try to push the body into ketosis, where it burns fatty acids instead of glucose, but isn't quite as restrictive on the carbs. And you're not supposed to stay on the keto diet forever because, as I'll get to in a bit, the side effects can be pretty rough.
Okay, so that's the take that we're measuring all other takes against.
The trendy low-carb diets people might be doing to lose weight. The weight loss approach does try to push the body a bit. The side effects can be pretty rough.
No.
To lose weight.
Okay.
Be doing to lose weight. The weight loss approach.
Oh, what did I just delete? That's not what I wanted to delete. What? Now I'm getting a little bit confused in my timeline here. Okay. Where are we at?
Effects can be pretty rough. Now, you might be asking yourself, how on earth did this diet become popular? Big Dairy must be making a
Delete
fortune.
that. We're going to delete that.
As the one that's used to lose weight. The weight loss approach does try to push the body into ketosis, where it burns fatty acids instead of glucose, but isn't quite as restrictive on the carbs. And you're not supposed to stay on the keto diet forever because, as I'll get to in a bit, the side effects can be pretty rough. In the 1920s, this diet was enormously effective for patients. While some of them reported unpleasant side effects like nausea and vomiting,
Nausea.
be pretty rough.
stop right there. I'm sure there's another
Forever,
take here.
because as I'll get to in the 1920s, this diet was enormously effective for patients. While some of them reported unpleasant side effects like nausea and vomiting, many of them showed improved alertness and sleep patterns. And in a study of 37 pediatric patients, Peterman showed that 95% showed improvements in their seizures and 60% showed complete... It's just not progressing.
Bummer. Okay. Let's see if this one's any better.
The trendy low-carb diet. The weight loss approach does try to push the body into ketosis, where it burns fatty acids instead of glucose, but isn't quite as restrictive on the carbs. And you're not supposed to stay on the keto diet forever because, as I'll get to in a bit, the side effects can get rough.
Okay, I don't think we need that take.
In the 1920s, this diet was enormously effective for patients. While some of them reported unpleasant side effects like nausea and vomiting, many of them
Do we have another take?
As time continued,
Okay, that's fine.
in the 1920s, this diet was enormously effective for patients. While some of them reported unpleasant side effects like
Hey, Nate.
nausea and vomiting, many
Happy
of
to have
them
you
showed
join.
improved alertness and
Glad to see
sleep
ya.
patterns. And in a study of 37 pediatric patients, Peterman showed that 95%. Oh, sorry.
Nope.
And in a study of 37 pediatric patients,
Okay, let's pause that. Go back here.
vomiting, many of them showed improved alertness and sleep patterns.
Yeah, so Nate, for anybody else who's joining just now, what we're doing is we are going through and doing a very rough edit right now of the next episode. It'll be going up next Wednesday, and the video is all about the ketogenic diet and how it's used for treating epilepsy, which maybe some people don't know about. You know, maybe that's not super common knowledge. We're just spreading the word
And in a
here.
study of 37 pediatric patients, Peterman showed that
Only for severe cases, though.
95%. Oh, sorry. And in a study. And in a study of 37 pediatric patients, Peterman reported that 95% showed improvement in their seizures, and 60% became entirely seizure-free. As time continued, scientists seizure-free.
Try and cut just before the blink there. And we have a bunch of takes of this next part, it seems like. So let's see what the best one
As time continued, scientists eventually began to develop more effective anticonvulsant drugs.
Don't love that.
As time continued,
No, that one's cut short.
as time continued,
As time continued.
effective anticonvulsant drugs, including. But then in 1994,
Okay, so maybe that was the good take.
as time continued,
Wait, did I just delete something that I shouldn't?
including sodium valproate.
No. Okay, delete both of these.
As time continued, scientists began to develop more effective anticonvulsant drugs, including sodium valproate, and the use of the ketogenic diet started to drop off, which isn't really that surprising. It's probably kind of hard to convince your 5-year-old to chug heavy cream.
Did I just delete a thing that was necessary?
As time continued, scientists eventually began to develop more effective anticonvulsant drugs, including sodium valproate and the use of the ketogenic. Oh, sorry. Can you just scroll me back a little bit?
Hang on, but does she say
As
that
time
in here?
continued, scientists began to develop more effective anticonvulsant drugs, including sodium valproate, and the use of the ketogenic diet started to drop off, which isn't really that surprising. It's probably kind of hard to convince your 5-year-old to chug heavy cream all day.
Definitely. Yeah, slaps only. Yeah, we may have mentioned this in a previous video. It's very interesting to think about, like, how your diet would impact neuronal signaling. I mean, it shouldn't be that surprising, I guess, because obviously there's. Well, I'm not going to get too much into it, mostly because I'm not like that well versed in the field. But the why am I blanking on it? The gut-brain axis, or the microbiome that our bodies have, can have a huge impact on how your brain functions, essentially. At some point, we'll probably do a video on that too.
Effective anticonvulsant drugs, including sodium valproate, to convince your 5-year-old to check.
Okay.
And in 1994, NBC's Dateline did a story about the son.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna.
But then in 1994, NBC's heavy cream all day. But then.
Okay, it looks like another take here, actually.
But then in
Okay, let's make sure that this isn't another take.
movie starring Meryl Streep.
No, okay. Yeah, you weren't expecting that. Suddenly we're talking about movies starring Meryl Streep. Oh, and looks like we got another subscription. Benjamin Puente. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. All right, let's see. Oh, another one. Dang. Mercurial Magic Trees. It's an interesting name. All right. Here we go. I wonder what kind of other ways our diet might be affecting our brain that we haven't yet discovered. I know, I think that's gonna become, I mean, it is already a whole field of study, and I think we're only gonna learn more as time goes on. I could see it being one of those things where, like, you know, you're talking to your kids or something, and they're like, what? You didn't know that, like, eating refined sugar was doing this to your brain? You know, and suddenly it's like, that's the new smoking. Don't you know that it affects your serotonin levels, and that's why you're so depressed all the time? I guess we'll see.
But then in 1994, NBC's Dateline did a story about the son of producer Jim Abrams, the guy who did Airplane and The Naked Gun. Toddler Charlie Abrams had severe epilepsy that was eventually controlled with the ketogenic diet, leading Jim Abrams to create the Charlie Foundation to promote research and awareness on the diet. It led to a whole cultural moment, including a movie starring Meryl Streep.
It's true.
How 90s. These days, the diet and variants of it is still used for controlling seizures in some patients, and it's also being studied in other medical conditions. And, of course, it's a favorite among gym bros who want to get super cut. But how does it do this? Why is the ketogenic diet so good at preventing seizures?
So close. How does the ketogenic diet? All right, that's fine. We got another opportunity here.
These days,
let's see how this take is.
These days, the diet and variants of it are still used for controlling seizures in some patients, and it's also being studied in other medical conditions. And, of course, it's a favorite among gym bros who want to get super cut. But how does it do this? Why is the ketogenic diet so effective at controlling seizures when other treatments, including literal anticonvulsant medications, are not? So,
nice. That's a good take. All right.
Are not.
Nice. Okay, we're gonna take that. Super cut. Super cut. Yeah. Thank you for the subscription on YouTube. Takarangi and that's just Takarangi. Takarangi? Takarangi? Who knows? All right.
These days, the diet and variants of it are still used for controlling seizures in some patients, and it's also being studied in other medical conditions. And, of course, it's a favorite among gym bros who want to get super cut. But how does it do this? Why is the ketogenic diet so effective at controlling seizures when other treatments, including literal anticonvulsant medications, are not? So, spoiler alert, we're still not actually sure, but let's talk about a couple of theories. The brain uses electrical signals to transmit information, and it takes some complicated computing to get all of those signals to line up in a living, breathing, conscious human. So our brains have lots of neurotransmitters that can either excite a neuron to make it fire or inhibit a neuron to stop it from firing. Seizures occur when the balance between excitatory and inhibitory signaling gets wonky and things get disrupted, leading to uncontrolled electrical activity in the brain. For more on this, check out the links in the description to watch some of our earliest videos on the subject. Aw, baby neurotransmitters.
Okay, not a bad take.
Those inhibit.
I know we did it again, so let's just...
But how does it do this? Why?
Wait.
Those inhibitory. So, spoiler alert, we're still not actually. How does it do this? Why is the ketogenic diet so effective at controlling seizures when other treatments, including literal anticonvulsant medications, are not?
Okay.
Are not.
We'll keep that for the most part.
They work.
Just delete that for now.
So, spoiler alert, we're still not actually sure. But let's talk about a couple of theories. The brain uses electrical signals to transmit information, and it takes some complicated computing to get all those signals to line up in a living, breathing, conscious human. So our brains have lots of neurotransmitters that can either excite a neuron to make it fire or inhibit a neuron to stop it from firing. Seizures occur when the balance between excitatory and inhibitory signaling gets wonky and things get disrupted, leading to uncontrolled electrical activity in the brain. For more on this stuff, check out the links in the description to watch some of our earliest videos on the subject. Aw, baby neurotransmissions.
Okay, we're gonna use that take, I think, because I like it better.
So
we're gonna delete that. And this will pull over. Now we've got this other section.
those inhibitory signals, mostly provided by the neurotransmitter GABA, play a big role in the function of most anticonvulsant medications, which are believed to discourage seizures by increasing GABA signaling in the brain. Anticonvulsants can also target the ion channels that dot the neuronal cell membrane, modulating the activity of the cell. But to be honest, as with so many psychiatric medications, we're not even 100% sure that that's exactly how these drugs work. We just know that they work.
Okay, not a bad take. Let's see.
Those inhibitory. Some of our earliest videos on the subject. Those inhibitory.
Okay, so we got a take here. So that's a take. Let's make sure that this isn't also a take.
Aw,
It is.
those inhibitory signals.
Okay, I think there's another take here.
Those inhibitory.
Yeah. Let's see if this is also a take.
The ketogenic diet.
No. Okay. So we got a whole mess here.
Work. We just know that they work.
Okay.
Those inhibitory signals, mostly provided by the neurotransmitter GABA, play a big role in the function of most anticonvulsant medications, which are believed to discourage seizures by increasing GABA signaling in the brain. Anticonvulsants can also target the ion channels that dot the neuronal cell membrane.
Best comment of the night. I'm gonna botch your name. Miketicat? Miketicat? Miketiket? Anyway, said editing is fun and not fun at the same time. It's true. I really like it. Even when things are kind of annoying, I still kind of like it. It's probably boring as hell to watch, unless you do some editing yourself, or unless, you know, you're just interested in seeing me. But I agree. It can be fun and not fun.
Those inhibitory signals, mostly provided by the neurotransmitter GABA, play a big role in the function of most anticonvulsant medications, which are believed to discourage seizures by increasing GABA signaling in the brain. Anticonvulsants can also target the ion channels that dot the neuronal cell membrane, modulating the activity of the cell. But to be honest, as with so many psychiatric medications, we're not even 100% sure that that's exactly how these drugs work. We just know that they work.
Kind of like the ending of that one for sure. Okay, let's take a look at this take, because I don't think I've even looked at it yet.
Those inhibitory signals, mostly provided by the neurotransmitter GABA, play a big role in the function of most anticonvulsant medications, which are believed to discourage seizures by increasing GABA signaling in the brain. Anticonvulsants can...
So you can see that Allie's looking off to the side. She's like eyeing over this direction. During that take, Loki jumped onto a chair that is kind of wobbly and was making a lot of noise on the ground. So we're not going to use that take.
Those inhibitory signals...
Okay, let's just use that whole take. I think that's pretty good. Next.
The ketogenic diet works by dramatically cutting sugar, which is what we mostly use to fuel our bodies. This forces the body into a state of almost starvation, where it uses fatty acids as its main source of fuel instead. We know that on the ketogenic diet, most fatty acids can't cross the blood-brain barrier, unlike glucose, which could pose a problem since your brain burns a lot of energy. But those ketone bodies, produced when the liver processes those fatty acids, can enter the brain, and they act as a semi-substitute for glucose. Some people theorize that the ketone bodies themselves are anticonvulsant, which is supported by some research in animal models showing...
Okay, we're gonna stop that there.
Some substitute for glucose.
Cut that, because she starts to stutter on that next part, so we're just gonna... I'm sure there's a better take
The
here.
ketogenic diet works... The ketogenic diet works by dramatically cutting sugar, which is what we...
Thank you to Trevor Carter for subscribing on YouTube. Appreciate that.
We mostly use to fuel our bodies. This forces the body into a state of almost starvation, where it uses fatty acids as its main source of fuel instead. We know that on the ketogenic diet, most fatty acids can't cross the blood-brain barrier, unlike glucose, which could pose a problem since your brain burns a lot of energy. But those ketone bodies, produced when the liver processes those fatty acids, can enter the brain, and they act as a semi-substitute for glucose.
Let me just see how that...
But those ketone bodies, produced when the liver processes those fatty acids, can enter the brain, and they act as a semi-substitute for glucose.
Okay, I think that's fine.
They act as a semi-substitute for glucose.
Okay, this is where we want to start.
Some people theorize that the ketone bodies themselves are anticonvulsant, and that's supported by some research in animal models. How the liver processes those fatty acids can... The liver processes those fatty acids can enter the brain. Some people theorize the ketone bodies themselves... Ketone bodies are...
Okay, cool.
Some people...
Clearly the teleprompter was not working during that time, so we're going to delete all that stuff because we don't need it.
Some
It's
people
useless.
theorize the ketone bodies themselves are anticonvulsant, which is supported by some research in animal models showing that acetoacetate and acetone can help prevent seizures. Ketone bodies are actually a more efficient fuel source than glucose, which might enable the brain to build up energy reserves, including extra mitochondria, which could help the brain keep itself stable when a seizure tries to pull extra energy, and that could be neuroprotective. One thing that's confusing, protective.
There's the blink. You're gonna skip that. So then she starts over again.
It's self-stable when a seizure. One thing that's confusing is whether the keto. One thing that's confusing is
What's the one thing that's confusing?
when I was researching.
Okay, it must be this take then.
One thing that's confusing is whether the ketogenic diet does anything to GABA signaling. In animals, it doesn't seem to do anything, but one thing that's confusing is whether the ketogenic diet does.
Hang on.
One thing that's confusing is in animals.
Okay, all right, that seems to be the take here. And we don't need this, and we don't need this, I don't think.
One thing
No.
that's confusing is whether the ketogenic diet does anything to GABA signaling. In animals, it doesn't seem to do anything. But then a study in human patients showed that the ketogenic diet led to
Acetoacetate is my
increased GABA levels
dude.
in cerebrospinal fluid. And the higher a patient's GABA
Brandon
level,
Klein.
the better their response
How's
to
it
the
going?
diet. So maybe that is a part of it. When I was researching
Okay, good pause
part
there.
of it,
Okay, I'm gonna go back before this blink right there. Then we can have a little bit of a J-cut. One thing. Finally, the suspense is over. I know. We finally know what the one thing was.
when I was researching this, I found something interesting, which is that while the mechanism of the ketogenic diet appears to be different from basically every known anticonvulsant, a drug called fenofibrate, which is mostly used to treat abnormal blood lipid levels, shows some interesting anticonvulsant effects in rats. So it seems like there's something else that's still totally unknown going on here.
One taken done.
That's the end of the section.
Let's go before that blink, just in case we want to do a transition or anything like that. Done with the dining room. Peter Fogel, glad to have you here. And Brandon, keep cleaning that data, man. It sounds boring, but I'm glad that, you know, you can pass time with us. Let's see here. Ooh, listen to that audio. Much louder outside.
Now, the diet is Now, the diet is
Ooh, raising the pitch a little bit. Now, the diet.
Become a science nerd yourself.
Okay, cool. Great. So she just knocks this out. She does like a whole take here. We're just gonna delete that.
Now, the diet is not without its risks and negative side effects. Some of the common discomforts include constipation, nausea, vomiting, and hypoglycemia, as well as increased cholesterol levels. People on the strict diet also have to take supplements to make up for nutrients they're not getting through their food. Kids who spend a long time on the diet can end up with stunted growth, kidney stones, and even bone fractures, which might seem surprising given how much calcium you'd think they'd be getting from all that heavy cream. Also, the diet is great for weight loss, which is why variations on the diet are popular in fitness communities. But that's not great for little kids. This is probably why the diet isn't super common, except in cases where medications aren't doing a good job controlling seizures. And it's also why adults who do keto to lose weight should be thoughtful about their dieting approach. There's a reason that physicians recommend a diet high in leafy greens, complex carbs, and lean proteins, and not one that involves taking shots of heavy cream 5 times a day. You know,
Roxy
heavy
Roxanne.
cream is cool and all, but you know what goes down even
Keep on
smoother?
studying. Glad that you're
Boosting
here,
your
though.
brain power with Brilliant.
Oh, now we're getting into the ad. All right, cool. Glad you're finding this interesting.
Should be thoughtful about their dieting approach. There's a reason that physicians recommend a diet high in leafy greens, complex carbs, and lean proteins, and not one that involves taking shots of heavy cream 5 times a day.
All right, so then we're gonna get into the Brilliant ad. I think, did we do this whole thing over again?
Become a science nerd yourself.
No, that's also the ad.
So there you have it.
Okay, no. So we're just gonna quickly edit the ad. Sorry, there's no way around it. We gotta do it. Some of this will probably end up being voiceover. We'll see. We might transition between the real life and voiceover just to kind of differentiate it so that people can skip ahead if they so desire.
You know, heavy cream is cool and all, but you know what goes down even smoother? Boosting your brain power with Brilliant. Brilliant is a great way to learn something new every day. I've been thinking about learning how to code lately, and lucky for me, they have fun and engaging resources to learn all about things like neural networks and how to program with Python. But they have so much more than that to help you become a science nerd yourself. Their lessons include daily thought-provoking and interactive challenges that will lead you from curiosity to mastery. You can really go in deep on this stuff and learn a lot in a short amount of time. And you probably will, because the challenges they give you are really addictive. I love how even if I get a problem wrong, they give a detailed explanation of where I went wrong to help me actually learn. I think they've really upped their platform lately. Like, even their courses use storytelling. So what are you waiting for? Do you want me to... Courses...
That's the problem with filming outside, is suddenly you have a car drive by and you're like, no. Now our entire take is ruined. Well, not the entire take, but you know.
Use storytelling.
Okay, we're just gonna cut there for now.
Become a... Their lessons include daily thought-provoking and interactive challenges.
Okay, let's see where the car starts off.
Their lessons include daily thought-provoking. You can really go in deep on this stuff and learn a lot in a short amount of time. And you probably will, because the challenges they give you are really addictive.
Okay, we'll stop there because that's a pretty good take right there.
Mastery. I love how even if I get a problem wrong, they give a detailed explanation of where I went wrong to help me actually learn. I think they've really upped their platform lately. Like, even their courses use storytelling. So what are you waiting for? To get started on your own nerd journey and learn more about Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/neurotransmissions and sign up for free. And also, the first 200 people that go to that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription.
Cut there. I don't know. It's sort of we just end the ad and just go straight into end of the video here. If I recall correctly, this take was not very good. We're gonna do this last take because I know that it was good. Peter, thanks for joining. Glad you liked the content, and we'll see you later on.
So there you have it. Sorry to leave you with another video where the short answer is still, we don't know. But I think it's actually really cool that we have this diet that's been so helpful for so long, and we still don't know exactly how it works. Maybe in another 5 or 10 years, we'll figure it out. But what about you? Have you ever tried a keto diet? What was it like? I've never done it myself, but I can remember my parents doing Atkins back in the day. And that seemed kind of miserable, although there was a lot of bacon. Anyway, share your experiences in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about how your diet affects your brain health, especially as you age, make sure you check out our new book, Brains Explained, which is available now wherever books are sold. We're really proud of it, and I hope that you give it a read. Thanks for watching this episode of Neurotransmissions. Until our next transmission, I'm Ali Astrocyte. Over and out.
Nothing like having a plane fly overhead exactly when you're finishing the video. But we decided not to do another take. We're like, well, good enough. Science. It depends. Yeah, that is the summary of just science right there, isn't it? Okay, well, we're done with a rough cut. A very rough cut. So let's take a look. Just move some things back into order. So overall length looks like it's going to be about a 16-minute, 33-second video. Next steps are going to be cleaning things up, getting the flow right, starting to insert some of the overlays, text, diagrams, the stuff that you usually see in our videos. We still got to do, obviously, adjusting the camera. If you're going from this, actually, this will sort of do it automatically because we changed the shot.
If you're into fitness, or if you know anyone who is, you've probably met someone who's on the keto diet.
And we'll zoom in.
It seems like yet another trendy low-carb
play
diet,
around with
like
it because
the
our hands
Atkins
are in a
diet
weird
or
spot.
paleo diet, right? All of these food regimens use the same basic principles that force your body to burn fat for fuel instead of sugar. But what if I told you that the keto diet, unlike those other diets, is
like
useful
matching
not
scenes,
just for helping
inconsistencies,
people lose weight
that sort of
and get
thing.
Buff.
But then also
it's actually a valuable medical tool that can be used to help treat epilepsy. It seems
right. We don't do those sort of straight jump cuts where you go from like one shot to the other. That's not true. We do it for the cat videos, but that's because if we tried to do a zoom in, zoom out for every shot in the cat video, it would get nauseating. So what we'd probably end up doing is like taking this, zooming in slightly, matching more or less where it ends here. So she stops right there. We'll bring down, kind of want the next shot to be more or less where her eye line is right now. So you kind of do that. And then you go to the next scene. And then when you are zooming it in, then we can move it right in the best spot there. It doesn't work every time. Sometimes you need to make some adjustments to, you gotta take some creative liberties, but it makes the viewing experience just that much easier if you're doing something like this. So let me remove these lines and you'll see what I'm talking about. So without those lines,
you've probably met someone who's on the keto diet. It seems like yet another trendy low-carb diet.
It just makes it the transition is just a little bit easier. There's actually a whole video. This is random. There's a whole video about this kind of thing on YouTube. I'll have to look it up. But essentially, talking about how Pixar does this really well. Like if you watch the intro to Up, the movie Up, those first like 5 or 10 minutes of Up, that there's no words, it's all just visuals. If you were to go from one scene to the next in Up, they do a lot of scene matching to show contrast, but they also like guide your eye. You will always be looking more or less right in the center of the screen, which I think is just so interesting. So anyway, Ice Bubbles, hey, welcome, glad to see ya. I'm in Illinois, if you want to know, in the Chicago area. So Glad to see ya. Actually, it is. I'll tell you what, folks. We've done a rough cut. We've got a lot of work ahead still. We got to put in background music. We've got to adjust and fix the audio. There's a lot of echo in some of these rooms, so we've got to do some treatment to it in order to make it sound good. We've got to put on all the special effects, the sort of visuals that come on screen, and adjust the video and whatnot. I'm gonna keep doing that, but not tonight, because it's getting late where I'm at. It's 10:50. So I think I'm gonna call it here and head to bed. But if you're interested in, catching streams like this in the future, obviously subscribe on YouTube if you're not already. You can also follow me on Twitch if you want that, and then that way you get like push notifications for that sort of thing. And I do more than just editing streams. I'll only really do editing streams on YouTube for live streams or stuff that's really specifically oriented towards neurotransmissions. But on Twitch, I'll do gameplay and stuff like that as well, other fun things. So you can find me over there at Micah_psych. I'll put that in the chat there if you want to check it out. But yeah, today I'm gonna be calling it. And we'll probably pick up maybe over the weekend. I might end up doing a chat or some sort of a stream, a live stream over the weekend, depending on what my time looks like, and then we'll go from there. But I really appreciate everybody who came and joined and hung out with me. I really appreciate your time and attention, and I'm looking forward to doing this again. So have a great night, and I'll